Good morning, everyone. Well, let's talk about health and why, for me, the Philippines is much healthier, but is also less healthy at the same time. Let's get into that one. We have another fine morning today. Really nice. So let's talk about it. Well, I have an autoimmune disease called psoriasis, and it does a number of things in the body that kind of block your ability to regulate skin growth in certain areas, usually where the skin kind of comes together. So as an example would be the knees, where the calf panel and the thigh panel come together. And that's why behind the knee it's all floppy. But behind the ears, that sort of thing. But let's get into why the Philippines is so good for me in the winter. And here's the kicker, guys. It comes down to the sun. And I get a lot of sun. I get a lot of well-managed sun. In other words, I don't just go screaming out in that, really high solar noon sun, especially around June 21st, where I could burn just like that, especially in the Philippines. Want to digress for a second and just tell you about temperature differences in the direct sun. So as an example, here in Canada, June 21st, let's say we had a 30-degree day. I've done this test. It gets up to 55 degrees, around that mark. Celsius. Sorry, I'm talking Celsius, guys. But in the Philippines, because June 21st, the sun is damn near straight up and down. I think it peaks out at 84 degree sun angle. And in the direct sun on a 30-degree day, 72 degrees at solar noon. And I'm just saying the two because it hit 70 and there's nothing after that. And the way it was creeping up, I'm thinking it was around 72. That's a huge temperature difference. So I use an app called D-Minder, and it helps me to get the sun at the most appropriate time without burning to a crisp. Now, the downside to the Philippines, here's the other thing. Because I've got psoriasis, I had doctors telling me that I was heading towards arthritic psoriasis. And that concerned me. My sister's got arthritis, and of course, constant pain is no fun at all. But what did I find out by mistake? As I'm going through this health journey, Lynn and I decided to start juicing. Don't juice, guys. Not only from what I'm about to tell you, but the sudden inrush of sugars to your body spikes your insulin like crazy. And for many of us, if you're already overweight and already insulin resistant, you could find yourself gaining weight. Okay, but let's go back to what happened there. So we start juicing, bam, 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 I'm piling it back, and boom, I get gout. The classic big toe gout. And I go into the doctor, and he says, you've been eating pure and based food. I think I pronounced that right. Seafood, that sort of thing. No, doc, nothing. I said, do the lab work. So he does the lab work. I pee into a bottle. It was the next morning, the guy phones me up. He didn't say it this way, but it sounds better this way. Dude, what are you doing? Your oxalate levels are through the roof. And it was at that point that I realized that a lot of the science that's out there, guys, no. It's not necessary. It's like the coffee thing, right? Coffee is bad for you. Coffee is good for you. Coffee is bad for you. It depends on what foot you're standing on. So then I start digging into it a lot more, and I come to know that oxalate, because gout is a form of arthritis, oxalate can drive arthritic mimicking. I call it mimicking on purpose because, there is a clinical definition, And unfortunately, the words read exactly the same. Now, once I cut the oxalates out, which are the, the moringas and all of these types of leafy products, because plants are a built-in defense mechanism, guys. They do not want to be eaten. And that's why things like cows have multiple stomachs, so they can churn that stuff through. But we don't have multiple stomachs. We are not ruminants. So all I simply did was cut out the oxalates. And you know what? The joint pain that I've been feeling for like 15 years, gone, baby, gone. So there's kind of the upside and the downside to living in the Philippines, which if I didn't know any better, I might have gone veganism. And I might have, said, well, look, I got lots of plants in Canada in our Canuck summers, and I got lots of plants in my winter in the Pinoy winters. But that would have been my death nail had I not had a bout of gout, which I'm told by some ladies is worse than giving birth. So at least I can relate to something there. But if you are suffering from arthritis, consider it. Cut out the oxalate-based foods for a while. And other than that, you have to cook them, and cook them. Broccoli still needs to be steamed. You can't eat that raw, cauliflower, that sort of thing. Just be aware of that. And, do what you can do that it may not even be arthritis. It may simply be the oxalate crystals building up and causing that effect. Now, in my case, the oxalate, according to the doctor, overdrove my uric acid production, in other words, detoxing, to try and get rid of those crystals. And the net result is uric acid also contributed more to the crystals. And then I got the gout. Not fun, because it takes weeks for you to get over that, even though the pain itself might be only a couple of days. You can't exactly walk smoothly. Anyway, a bit of a ramble, something to think about. It may not be what you think it is, but I've had a lot of upsides. Oh, and a quick digress. Mango, lowest oxalate food out there. So you can still have and enjoy mangoes, but things like plantains and bananas, or they cross-call them that, you'll need to steam them. Okay, guys, there we go. I got my sun for today, and my walk is winding up. Later, Gators.